Hi, morning. I'll try and stay on track so that I can upload this video because I've got to go to work. But I want to discuss a few things about Barry Morphew, and let's get a few things straight. Okay? Now, the idea of premeditated murder, the idea that someone that has been attached with someone for so long, someone that is so trusting, someone that they gave beautiful daughters to someone that they thought, to someone who thought they would never have children. To think of that person, the planning and the setup and the execution. Now it is overwhelming nearly, isn't it, to think, but it does happen. To think of rage moments in a situation like that, it's devastating. To think of an accident that gets covered up, just awful, because again, it's just leaving so much pain in the wake of it all, because the not knowing. What do you think about Barry? What do you know about what is the truth, what has come from his own mouth, what may have come from police officers, or what's come from other sources, and what is conjecture out there as fact? Now, I don't make Excel sheets. I don't write notes. Why? Well, I don't need to. I listen, I watch, I think, I feel, but I remember. And the cases that I follow, and in this instance, I'm talking about the case of missing Maysville, Colorado woman Suzanne Morphew, I know a lot. And okay, I've made videos about this anyway. Where you can say, wow, that's odd, or that's nothing, or that can be explained. Now, what is odd? Okay, well, there are a few touchy moments, and that we see. Okay, now you've got to think, when you see Barry on film, hear him on the phone. Okay, that's what we know. Seeing Barry on film, hearing him on the phone. And even what do you know about that? So let's think about seeing him on film. The jarring moments in Tyson Draper's conversation at the mountain on the road where the bicycle supposedly was found. The jarring moment is about the wheel, and where Barry quickly changes from talking about that. And the other jarring moment that I've mentioned, or something, but it could just be mannerisms. See, we don't know. We don't have the baseline. Let me tell you what happened. Well, maybe this is vernacular that Barry uses all the time. Let me show you what happened. This could just be his way of speaking, and we don't know. But that seemed a little bit odd. Two things. What else? Well, he did do a 26 second actually plea. And, I have said, well, 8 seconds is long for a bull ride. So maybe this was thought of as a bit of a triumph. But, I think Barry's well aware, guilty or not, that trial by you, judge, jury, and executioner is going to happen in this case, right? If he was Chris Watts, maybe he would have just rambled on camera outside his house a little bit more, right? Maybe if he was Chris Watts, he would have rung that hospital and cancelled Suzanne's medical checkup. Anyway. So then we move forward to things that people are telling us. Things that people come into my comment section and say, yeah, but Trevor said this. Lauren Schaff said that. It was on Fox this. Barry said. A family member said. Okay, well, are people putting words into Barry's mouth? You can come on here and you can say to me, that's first person testimony. Well, let that testimony play out in court. Okay? And then you can see what a jury think of it. They will see if it is deemed credible, if the witness is credible. And they will be looking at the big picture. They will be looking at everything. Are we being gaslit? Does someone who thinks someone is guilty want to make sure that we think they're guilty? Trial by the public? Now, okay, law enforcement have done several searches. They've gone back with second warrants for the home. They've been to a hotel site probably in May. They've been to dig sites, building sites, etc. They've been a lot of places. There's no arrest. With Chad Daybell's property search, the second one, Chad Daybell was arrested on the spot. I'm jumping around here because, so sorry. But I just want to point some things out. And, I would like to think that rational people will give this consideration. And don't you dare say I'm irrational. Don't you dare say I'm victim bashing. It is not that. Have you stopped for a minute to think that you might be victim bashing? That you might be traumatizing someone that is going through the deepest trauma of their lives? Macy, Mallory, Barry? Because we're all well aware of the statistics. We're well aware that things happen. Do you have an open mind? Do you have a brain of your own? Investigation means look at everything. It doesn't mean have a one-track mind. And I think you guys do it. You're actually it's like you're sexually aroused by it. I'll just say that. So, what do we have? What else? Lauren Schaff's phone interview. Do you think that was edited? Do you think that just played out like that? I'm not convinced. I don't think when Lauren plays, or when Fox, one of her overlords, when Fox plays that phone call, do you think that opening question was what Barry was actually responding to when he goes, listen, and actually if let me show you is how he talks, listen would be how he talks. But I think he was answering a different question. I think there's been some editing here. And people trying to gaslight him again. He said in the past tense, I loved her. No, he says, I love her. She's the shining light of my and my daughter's lives. And by all accounts, wow, I mean, it looks like she was. I know you can't go by a photo, but they often tell 1,000 words. Isn't that what they said? And they can tell a few words too. They can tell that someone really is emanating happiness and joy and comfort with each other, enjoyment in being together. We've all seen happy snaps that look nothing like that, even if there are smiles. So, the phone call, why are you making a big beef about that? Because actually I reckon that's edited. And let's think again. Let's think about some things that have apparently come out of Barry's mouth. They have come from one single source. That source is now caught on to this And he's removing himself. And he's saying, second hand, I've been told. So this source is the source of the firefighter rumour. Lie, I'll say. It's probably a lie. Source of went to Colorado Springs and not Denver. The source of many things, okay? Many things, and they all come back to this one source. Now, sure, this source might have good reason. Maybe the FBI have told him that Barry done it. But I doubt they've actually told him that. I can imagine there's a lot of hurt. Wouldn't you think keeping your enemies closer? Why things are cliche, or why do we have these expressions? Because over and over again, they prove to be true because they are tried and tested in our society. Keep your enemies closer, Andy. Wouldn't that have been smarter? Maybe you could have been the one to string this all together. You could have found the missing link. The Daily Mail beat up with Jeff Puckett. We know that, it's a beat up. We don't know what significance anything has. What is the ding-a-ling strange thing here is tools. So where are these tools? Well, do you think if there were all these inconsistencies and they meant something and they were important and they were true inconsistencies, do you not think there would have been an arrest by the FBI, by local law enforcement? Do you think they really want an arrest? Do you think they want an airtight case? What are the games here? Who is playing the games? Do you think it's law enforcement? Do you think it's other people? So the hotel room, oh man, can I tell you how many I've walked into and there's been a funny smell? Now, isn't it interesting? The second-hand information now. Not Andy saying, I was told it. Oh, he was told it by someone who was told it now because he's getting a bit more cautious that the home smelled of bleach. Did he put someone up to saying something smelled of chlorine? I mean, it would smell of chlorine. Is that hotel room near the pool? Is the chlorine emanating up? I think masked therapists, you should go and you should investigate and you should find out what room he was in and just have a look around. Do it. Who would have known about Jeff Puckett other than law enforcement and Barry? Well, when family arrive in Salida to help for 4 whole days, and didn't return even when a second warrant was brought and no arrest, well, wouldn't you just want to go back, keep a little beady eye or do some more investigation? Anywho, that's victim blaming apparently, but anywho, well, Barry might have said, yeah, and I did this and I did that. So someone knew about Jeff Puckett. Did they ask them to sit on it? Did they pay him to talk about chlorine? Who knows? You can't... wow. I mean, I'm just wow at you guys. You are bullies. You are conflabulators. And you're easily led. We all know how things look. We know the statistics. If you've heard of innocent until proven guilty, because you could be ruining people's lives here. And I'm not just talking about Barry, who could actually be devastated. I'm talking about that whole family unit. That nuclear family. They will never, ever, ever mend with the Mormon family. Those girls, no matter what happened. They haven't had the support. And, okay, so where was I? It's very easy to say things accidentally. So, yes, 9 p.m. return. But does it mean that maybe Barry got back, was with police somewhere else or at the home at 6 o'clock and then went up to the bicycle site at 9 p.m. It does sound like he goes, yeah, I was in Denver, I got back at 9 p.m. Oh man, I mean, the amount of times I've said I know exactly what I meant to say, Suzanne Morphew, I've said Mormon, or I've typed something, or it's so easy to say. If you're not someone who makes videos, or if you're not someone who's ever had a conversation in your life and had someone say, oh, did you mean? And you go, oh yeah. Learn where to put stock. Now, we need to be going by fact, and at the moment, we've got a couple of weird statements, but we don't have lies. We don't have verified lies, and you're making it out like Barry is a liar, and we don't know that. And I'd like to know, Salida residents, Maysville residents, how many of you have gone and checked if Mallory, Macy, Barry, if they need anything? Has anyone taken a casserole around? Has anyone asked if there's anything that they can do? Has anyone asked if they need some sort of support? Would they like to somehow do online church services? Has someone asked if they would like just to do something different for a day for mental health? Is there any support? How do you feel as a community? Feeling pretty good about yourselves? Yeah, so what else did I want to say? I mean, you've seen my videos if you've wanted to, and you can always go back and watch. And I do discuss as the case is unfolded. Oh, yeah, how could he have gotten, where could the time differences be? Where could be the sleight of hand if this was accident, if this was Barry pre-med, where could he have gone and how could he make things look? But you can't actually pinpoint anything down there, and no wonder this guy's camera shy. Yeah, we don't know. And you think about what you're doing. Okay, now, anything that I say, there are people that will make me out to be something I'm not, okay? Because you think, wow, why am I talking about Andy Mormon in this way? Well, I'm just talking about what I see, what we've got on tape and record, okay? Just the way that we can talk only about what we have on tape and record with Barry, okay? Not what you all might say is, oh, first-hand testimony. Well, as I've said, that'll be tried in a court of law. But things coming out of people's mouths, it doesn't mean that someone said it. It doesn't mean that they've understood it properly. And you've got to look at motive of everybody. Motive of everybody. You're talking about money. Well, there's money involved everywhere you look, isn't there? So what are the things that Andy Mormon, I'll come out and say, what then has he said? Well, he has said about the firefighter, he has said Colorado Springs, was that purposefully misleading? He has said some time frame things. He is saying about bleach. He is saying about many, many things. What first came out of his mouth, and sometimes this is more true, and this is more uncensored. One of the very first things was that he said, Barry was saying, where is she? Who's got her? And what are they doing to her? Is she okay? I don't know. This is, and Barry said those things according to Andy Mormon. Now, does that mean we can believe everything else? Well, maybe, but it's evolving as time goes on, isn't it? To pile things up. I think you need to be very, very careful, and I don't care who you are. Why don't we leave it to law enforcement? Now, there's things said also about Colorado law enforcement. There's things said about how crimes do not get solved there, or how they are wrapped up, or how investigations go. I know nothing about that. There are allegations about who is a Freemason and who isn't. There are allegations about who, just the same as people trying to work out what is Barry's thinking here. What is this massive, complicated plan? He must have been surely planning this since they left Colorado, for Colorado. Well, Suzanne was sick again when they were leaving. Did someone from the Mormon family go up and spend time with her? Maybe. I hope so. While she was going through that. Did they just let her go and never visit? Did they wait for her calls? I mean, surely not. Let's not hope. Did Suzanne Morphew know that Jean Mormon was sick? Did she disappear before this happened? Because if she disappeared, if Jean Mormon was announced ill with his illness before she disappeared, I know Suzanne would have gone to visit him, and she may have arranged to take the daughters around schedules, and Barry probably would have made some time in a schedule and have gone to see Jean Mormon. The Mormon family, Andy specifically, has done nothing but tell us that Barry Morphew has murdered his sister. Just right from the start. He hasn't tried to be supportive of that family and, let the investigation run. They've kept their distance, and now they are harassing the daughters, who I would want nothing to do with them. I mean, you can all say, Trevor won't hand over the GoFundMe money. Well, why the hell should he? This is set up in Suzanne Morphew's name by close family, by nuclear family, and with the help of Trevor. And it's in Suzanne Morphew's name. Andrew Mormon is the name you have to find Andy's GoFundMe under. Now, why couldn't he negotiate with the family to use the set up GoFundMe page? People are still donating to it. They've done a lot of searches at the start with that GoFundMe, I'll have you know. They went to different towns. They've done a lot of legwork. So, of course, some of it has been used. And I am 100% sure that it could be audited, okay, and found above board. Business dealings, we don't know. I've questioned before what was going on with the charity accounts, etc., etc. People question the sale of property. Well, it makes sense to sell it, and if it was in motion before Suzanne went missing, that has to be completed, and Barry has legal right to do so because he's got to take care of that business. Now, maybe there may have been some contention within the marriage about moving back to Indiana or about selling property. Is that motive for murder? It possibly is. Is having an insurance paper in a hotel room any sort of evidence? No, it absolutely 100% is not. And after all the investigation, do you not think that there would be an arrest already if this was clear cut, if this was cut and dried? So it's like things are being tried to be pushed along by someone, isn't it? And do you start questioning that? Does that make you feel really icky? And we're not allowed to question body language. You can question one person's body language and that's it. You can't question Andy Mormon's nearly blinking things back and just as he's about to say things. I mean, we need baseline. Is he just pretty blinky? Does he lick his lips all the time? Does he look around? Is he like that all the time? We need baseline. We don't have Barry's baseline, do we? In fact, we might. That he is pretty forward. That he can be very direct. So maybe we do have a baseline for how he would put information across. Let me show you. Let me tell you. Listen. I want to hear that unadulterated or unedited version of that phone call, Lauren Schaff, okay? It'll come out in court if there's a court case. I'm saying 100%. Look, I should say 99.999 recurring percent. I'm 100% sure that that's been edited. Just like the hack job that was done on Lauren Schaff's first news item on Fox. I mean, they really made her look ridiculous. Ding, ding, ring, ring, show the phone. I mean, that was hilarious. I think that says more on Barry's side, if that's what Fox News has to do. You're pathetic, Fox News. You know, Lauren Schaff's trying to develop her career. She's been groomed by PE, Profiling Evil. And, you know, Fox overlords are going to do with her work what they will, with her, you know, discoveries, with her interview, with her material, aren't they? Just like the Daily Mail will do anything they damn well want with anything they get, and you will jump on it. You've all got to get on here 5 seconds later and be, you know, without even giving it consideration. And it's around the world, as I've said, in 80 seconds, all these lies. And you've got people now that are very naughty. They're coming on and they're saying things like, yes, such and such told this and that. You know, they're doing their little work, the little gnomes, aren't they? So, you know, we all know what makes this case look strange. And is it really as much as you think? You know, you look at your heart, you look at your mind, you look at your values, you look at your ethics, individuals, people, organisations. Now, of course, Barry Morphew could be arrested any time. Don't you think he would have been arrested, though, if all of these things that we're being told to think that he said and everything that is unverified and not necessarily true, could be anything. I don't believe most of it. I 100% don't believe it now. You know, but sight warrants and investigations, visits to Indiana, lots of interviews, all sorts of investigation has gone on, hasn't it? And there's been no arrest. You know, 38%, and yes, that gets moved by circumstance. Circumstances are not moving that up, are they? Are they moving it down? Are they moving that percentage down? Nearer a higher chance incidence of innocence. You know, you've got people saying, we haven't left the house. Everyone says that now, don't they? You know, and look, you know, if a garage door was left open, because it doesn't matter because Suzanne's not there and I know it, and I need the neighbours to come and look in the garage. Don't you think he would have said more suspiciously, and can you check for a bike on that first call? Or maybe it was the daughters and they didn't think that, and Barry's gone, oh, well, look, did you ask about that? Because, you know, we know that Mum loves to go for a cycle. But, you know, were the garage doors left open because, well, it doesn't matter because no one's there to protect? Were they left open because someone left their house on a bike ride? Were they left open because that's just usual and unfortunately someone has been able to enter that home, and in doing so no alarm has gone off anyway because they haven't broken in and there's no alarm? It is very possible that Suzanne has gone girled, been abducted by a stranger, by someone in town, by someone she knew. I would hope that in the weeks before and after, everybody that knew that Barry was out of town, or that the family, where they lived, I hope they're investigated. I hope that there are 100 people that have been checked, so that law enforcement, when they do make an arrest, they can be sure. Because let's face it, we do make false arrests. So, and you know, and this is traumatizing someone that is in the most awful situation of his and their lives. Nothing would be more devastating to a husband, to an innocent husband, you know. So just think about the shame that you all carry. Think about the burden that you carry and the onus on you to be responsible with what you say, how you say it, whether you're an individual like myself, a professional, an organisation, family members. You know, keep your enemies closer, Andy. If Barry was in, it makes me think of Alex Cox and Charles Vello. You know, how close has Andy felt to Barry for all these years if he's just like this and hasn't, even for the sake of the investigation, for the sake of the girls, been able to be a different person and be there. Imagine if he was there and he got the information because he was close and trusted. Instead he just, I was going to say something and it's just not going to sound right, but how do you think Andy's making himself out to be? Yeah. And, you know, it's a shit show. And think of everyone's motives, everybody's, and who they're connecting themselves to and what they, you know, want to put out there. It may well be because Andy just knows. He knows that Barry did it, you know. So understandable, but is it the way to go about it? Is to gaslight or possibly, you know, to be lying? Possibly. No, it is not. Is it, you know, even... You know, who speaks in the past tense? Andy. Andy is the only person who consistently, often speaks in the past tense about Suzanne. And okay, you might say, oh, because he's come to this acceptance. You just couldn't, could you? I wouldn't. I wouldn't be accepting right now. I would not be speaking in past tense. You might have that feeling, you might know the statistics, but you wouldn't say it. You would not. Andy is the one that's speaking in past tense, not Barry. At the vigil, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and put things around the right way about having to do things and the need to do things. You know, I tell you who looks worse. Yeah, so we don't know. Look, I want an arrest, but really, we know what the situation is without somebody's body, okay? So what I do want is Suzanne found. Now, if Suzanne is found dead, and then there can be an arrest and an airtight conviction, etc., wouldn't that be the best outcome here now, other than Suzanne being alive? So, I mean, I just don't think you're going to find Suzanne near that house, but I could be wrong, and anyone could be wrong about any single thing. This is a really long video, so I'm going to leave it here. Please just consider your ethics. Consider what comes out of your mouth. There's nothing wrong with trying to solve something and being investigative, but that, by definition,